jokes.
Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
I have a cold, people, so if you're hearing that in my voice the way I'm hearing it, I don't know what I have. But I won't go into the fact that I have this cough that lasts forever. But that's not your problem. Thank you for joining us. We were not here last week. I was away in Florida. It was warm there, and that was nice.
And yet you're sick now.
Yeah, and I'm sick now. It's the damn planes.
And
I don't know what it is.
That's all. The only nice thing you probably could say about Florida is it's nice. It's warm, I mean.
We enjoyed the place. We were in a place called Amelia Island, which was lovely. Nice facility.
Florida's a great place to visit.
Yeah, I could live there for 3 months. No offense to anyone who lives there. I know our pal Eben lives in Orlando, the happiest place on earth. I would like to live there too. Any place we're like, can we just come for the winters? It has to be driving distance to Orlando. So
I want to live at Galaxy's Edge, but I don't think they'd let me.
They might. Would they know? Disney knows, I'm sure.
Disney is well aware, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
What's
going to happen with that hotel? Are they just going to tear it down?
I wonder if, squatters, can I just squat in one of those rooms on the Chandrilla Starliner?
What do they do with that?
Just be like an in costume kind of homeless person,
They turn it into low income housing, probably.
Exactly. Just
it's there and it costs money and it's
I know
it's crazy.
You ever see those videos on YouTube?
It'd be another hotel with a different theme. Done.
It's in a weird place though.
It's in a really weird place.
It's like in the warehouse section.
Do you ever see those videos on YouTube where people break into abandoned houses and do videos and stuff? I wonder if I just wonder, 10 years ago.
Let me know how that goes, Barry.
I don't think
breaking into this.
Well, there's that whole thing. If you heard that whole, did we talk about frogging, where you go and you live in people's houses unbeknownst to them?
I've never heard of this.
That's a thing, and there was a show on Lifetime about it. It's called Frogging, and there's people live in people's attics, and it sounded crazy, but. The bigger houses.
Are they hiding from the Germans or something?
No.
Are these life-size people? We're not going to the
No,
borrowers,
they're
right?
people.
No?
And
okay.
they're
or are they chuds living under the stairs?
It's crazy.
Okay.
I don't know too much about it. I didn't watch the show, but it's a little nutty. But anyway, let's do some random. We're also going to talk about Masters of Air, which just wrapped up. You should watch it if you haven't, and then some other stuff. Do we want to jump into the Acolyte trailer?
Sure.
I feel like we should, since it just, as we're recording, it dropped today.
New Star Wars is always...
New Star Wars Day.
Is sometimes a good thing. Well, now, has there been... It's not like Marvel. New Marvel.
I said this to my son earlier in the evening. I said, I love when a new trailer drops because you have all the hopes and optimism that it's going to be good, and yet you haven't been disappointed by it yet. So
yeah.
But I thought it looked interesting.
We've been disappointed with any of the Star Wars shows, majorly disappointed, have we?
I haven't, but
well,
I know other people.
Todd, I'm talking to you. Barry, just shut up for a minute. I mean, I know we didn't love Book of Boba Fett. I will say
there have been things that have not met expectations. But yeah, not huge crushing disappointment. Not yeah.
I was going to say, it used to be Star Wars pizza and sex. All good, even when it's bad.
No, it used to be Star Trek pizza and sex.
I said, did I say Star Trek? What about Star Wars? I mean, although
Dave is on cold medication, people. Yeah. Bear with it.
We don't like Discovery.
Yeah.
Would you rather have crappy pizza?
Season
or watch
5
Discovery?
is starting up, next week?
Yeah.
April.
Yeah. Is it April? A couple
April,
weeks. Okay.
April, yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Am I allowed to talk again?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I just tell you up front my two things, okay? I always worry about these things that are clearly targeted for audiences, okay? And there's a lot of young people in this. And I understand this is the whole thing, but I kind of really wonder if this is the teen version of Star Wars.
Yeah,
I think you're confusing
Moss is
this.
in it.
No, I think you're confusing this one with the Skeleton Crew show that's not debuted yet.
No, I'm
They
telling
showed
you,
a couple. They showed a couple of younglings in this, but this one isn't the one that's about the kids. The one that's about the kids
there's young
is Skeleton
Jedi.
Crew.
I think there's Carrie Ann Moss is the most featured person. You know who she is.
Oh yeah,
and
but
she's
I'm
old.
saying there's a whole bunch of you like didn't see the scenes with all the younger Jedi running around with the.
That they were
lightsabers
younger,
and
but I didn't. Well, I didn't get the sense that they were teens. I thought they were.
Well, okay, teens to young. No, I bet they're teens.
Because there's another show coming called The Skeleton Crew that is about kids.
I don't think this is going to be about all young people, but I get it. They're looking to, emulate whatever that Zendaya show is on HBO. It's all beautiful.
That's what
young
I'm saying.
Oh, you mean the Jedis are going to be taking
you
drugs
don't
and
get
having
that
sex
this
with
is-
each other?
You don't get that this is
Yeah.
like late teens, early 20 something.
I
Jedi,
didn't
and
get
then
that
a couple
because
older
honestly,
actors tossed in to balance.
all I
Boy,
saw
that's-
was like, oh, Carrie Ann Moss. Wow, they put like a 50+ woman actress in there, and that's a good thing. That's
who
all
you
I
know, and that's the anchor. I'm saying the rest of it is we're going to see. We're going to see.
We'll see.
I'll be honest, Todd. Again, I don't know anything because nobody's seen it yet. But the way they've been talking about this show for the last year leading up to it, this is not intended for. This isn't the teen show. That's the Skeleton Crew show. I think this is just meant to be younger Jedi, and then the poster that they released literally says, "In the age of light, a darkness rises." I think this is like the rebirth of the Sith, the reemergence.
I think
of the
we're going to
Sith.
see probably younglings, Padawans, and real Jedi. I think, and maybe that's what we did see. We saw the younglings. Those other people could have been the Padawans, and then you've got some real,
I would
Jedis.
love to see, and I have wanted to see, like for the longest time, like a show about Jedi in the prime era of Jedi, where they are out there doing the Jedi stuff, and it's
That's
and there's
what
That's
this is
supposed to be what this is. It's 100
that's
years
what I'm saying. There's potential
before the
for
Phantom
this.
Menace.
and that where, like I said, I was a little watching it. I was just a little like, boy, they are young, and that's the. So we'll see.
There's this talk about this supposed to be about Darth Plagueis, and he is in this time frame. I don't know anything about him unless maybe you read a book about him. Did anyone?
I
read a
did,
book
yeah. I
about
read
him?
the Plagueis book. It's actually one of the best expanded universe books I've ever read, but I don't know. I will see. I've heard anything from 50 to 100 years prior to the Phantom Menace is when this takes place. So
I read a
totally fine
couple
with that.
things that said 100. Yeah,
I'd be
So,
totally fine with that.
Yeah.
I
Hey.
think we know that era and everything that comes afterwards. I think this is it would be great to see a different time frame.
and that was going to
It's
be my
obviously-
point. Is it's just nice to have something set in a time period where we don't have
no
really
baggage.
any idea what's going to happen.
Yeah. And all the Jedis that would, there was like half a dozen Jedis lighting up their sabers. I'm in. I love that. And if they do it the way they should be doing it, like,
It's like House of Jedi.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, we didn't see much. It's funny. You see younglings, and all you think is like, oh boy, younglings. The last time you saw younglings, they all got killed. So
Yeah.
hopefully that won't happen again.
Yeah.
It was funny. I watched the trailer with Maria and Josh before, and Maria even was like that scene with Carrie Ann Moss where she's fighting the person with the blade. She's like, "Boy, that was very Matrixy." Like they're leaning into the Matrix feel
course,
in
that's-
that, at least
it's
in
what
that
you've got with
scene.
Carrie Ann Moss, and
Yeah.
but the kids all sitting around, and I see this, and the kid's like, I see fire, and I'm like, okay, we'll see.
I wanted someone to say, I see dead people.
I see dead people. That would be interesting.
Well, we get the first 2 episodes June 4th. So
Yeah, that's
Hey,
exciting.
I liked what I saw for the little bit that I saw it. I'm
yeah,
optimistic.
I'm going in super excited and hopeful. We'll see.
Yeah. So, cool.
So I'm just going to slide sideways for a second from that. I am caught up with Bad Batch, Barry. Okay. Which means I watched.
Well, wow, you've really
I watched
you took a deep dive.
2.5 seasons over break, and I basically did 3 eps a day.
Isn't season 3 amazing?
The whole thing is amazing.
Yeah.
And when you and I still want there to be a series that's as good as this. Okay, as that hits the mark as well as all the animated stuff has, and the best of the animated stuff, and the just such great character building, and it's dark, and characters are ambiguous, and it's not, it's like we've seen so much I'm sorry to say it, so much Star Wars we've seen. It's very cardboard characters that you don't, just like archetypes, and very few characters in this are that cut and dry.
Well, and there are stakes because there are characters who haven't made it this far, like main characters that haven't made it this far. So,
yep.
And the thing that I agree with you. It's all great. The thing I've been loving about season 3 is because we know that it's the end, and we know that they're building towards something. There's been no filler at all. There's no like side episode where they have to go do something for Sid that has no tie-in to the main story. Like it's all main story, which has been great.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll just say this is a while ago for you, but when one of these supporting characters hit on one of the main characters, it was like he was just flagged as Goose at that moment. It was just like, oh no, this is going to go very badly. And I did not know what was happening, but at that moment, it was like, oh yeah.
It's been really good.
It's been superb, and I'm glad I caught up. I should not have gotten this far behind, but I did go back and watch from the beginning.
I'm glad you're caught up now, so I can actually text you when the episodes are happening,
and I'll keep up with it through the end in real time. And I will say once again, really annoying child character inserted, and this one they turned her around faster than ever.
Yes,
it took what it took them a couple seasons to do with Ahsoka. They did, right out of the gate with this character, and they, gave her value and worth, and made her part of the group, and there's an understanding. I mean, you see the bond between all of them.
And she's not a tag-along character. She's one of the crew.
Oh, no, she does her own. As I said, I texted you the other day, there's some bad parenting here. They're letting her do stuff she should not be doing. But she's one of them, and a genuinely good character. And I will say, the reunion, I teared up.
Oh, my God. It was very emotional. It really was.
I was like, it's just, yeah.
Well, the reunion, and then the way that they framed the two ships with the gap in between them, and then Crosshair comes down the ramp.
It just could have been so bad.
Yeah.
And, if it had been something else. And so okay. Sorry,
we'll talk about it later.
It's okay.
This is the second show in the last 2 weeks that's actually gotten me to tear up, and I don't cry watching TV. So.
And there's a and I will say this show is, well, again, there's a reason for that, but this is as good as Rebels was at its best.
Yeah.
So when you can get invested in not realistic looking animated characters.
Rebels was awesome, but it still felt a little bit targeted for kids. This doesn't feel targeted for kids at all.
And this never was. And boy, don't make the mistake of thinking this is a kid show, because it's darker than anything else they've done.
And it's paying off in ways that some of the other... And, we joke, I haven't been majorly disappointed by any of the shows, but I certainly see their flaws. And, Ahsoka, Todd's cat just literally jumped up on his desk. The Ahsoka show, I liked it, but boy, there were flaws in that. Todd's cat is wrapped up in his headphones and
wrestling with a cat.
This is the first time in 500 episodes that's happened.
He also just stepped on the keyboard, so yeah. Okay.
Are you still recording? That's the most important part.
We are still recording. Okay.
All right. Good.
That's Rocket. He's the adventurous one. So
I'll jump in since you guys have been talking about stuff. There could be a new James Bond. The rumors.
Yes, that's on my list.
This Aaron Taylor Johnson, who we know from, mostly Quicksilver and Kick-Ass. Interesting. So, this is like the first. There's been rumors about so many people, and Tom Hiddleston and Henry Cavill and that Cillian Murphy, and this says like he's been offered the role and they're signing contracts this week. So I don't know if that's. What do you guys think about that?
I think he could. I think he could be good. He's matured a lot as an actor. He's done a lot of different things. Honestly, my preference would be towards somebody who I haven't seen in so many other things.
Yeah,
so
but
I could
he's
see
done a
him as
lot of
Bond.
different stuff. I don't really know him in that much. Like to me, the fact that he was Kick-Ass, it doesn't even register in my head. That's the same guy. It's such a long time ago.
The Godzilla film, Quicksilver.
All
he's
pretty different.
and he's been good, and he's been different in everything he's been in. And I got to say, and I think he's got the chops to pull it off. It's just. Yeah.
I like that he's young, which is interesting because
I do too.
It gives him more runway than it did with the last Bond. So
the what?
As it gives him more runway than it did with Daniel Craig.
Yeah, but it's interesting for them to do something different. I mean, he's 33. Daniel Craig was 38 when he did the first one.
Was he really?
Yeah, I just looked it up because I was curious.
What do you do with a 33-year-old Bond? Do you have him come right out of the military? And do you really?
That could be interesting. We've never seen. I mean, while Casino Royale was sort of origin story, a little bit, not story, but references to him getting his. It'd be interesting to see him in an origin story, like literally,
I think it
in the
really
SAS
would be.
or
and,
whatever.
And it's somewhere they haven't gone before. Where it's like you're seeing he's being introduced to. Q Branch the first time, and he's everything is and learning that not only is he licensed to kill, but he's also expendable.
I think that could be interesting if they jump in with something. I mean, I'm hoping that's the reason, if that's who they're looking at. I mean, like I said, I think the other choices that people have been talking about have way too much baggage. Tom Hiddleston's no way, and Cillian Murphy, there's no freaking way. Yeah. Those guys are not James Bond.
Cillian Murphy doesn't have the look to me at all of a Bond.
Not at all.
Cillian Murphy.
No. Though you know what? I think he probably looks more like the book Bonds than anybody who's played Bond. I mean, he's got this kind of very. I'll describe it, but you kind of looked at the Bond from the books and you kind of knew he was a killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
no, it's been different, but the thing is, somebody mentioned it, so I went to find clips on him. His voice is a little, it's not great. I think they need to tweak his voice a bit. I don't know if it's a little high pitched or because him as himself now. I guess he plays other people. I really don't remember. He's got a Russian accent in the Marvel stuff, but I think they definitely need to tweak his voice a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, which is easily done these days. You get a voice coach and you just...
and that's... And again, it's like, who that's a British actor sounds like themselves anyways. I mean,
yeah.
You ever see an interview with David Tennant and you could barely understand him when he's using his own voice?
Yeah,
it's... I think it's interesting. They need somebody with runway. They need somebody that they can use for a decade at this point, and tell the story, because it was a risky choice closing out the previous series the way they did. They've really got to start from scratch.
Yeah, I would love to see him. He's young, definitely young enough to see it. I think he's got a good look. I mean, the clip I saw, he was like doing back somersaults or something on Van. He's pretty ripped too, which is good. Yeah. We never. Roger Moore was looked like a Ken doll basically when he had his shirt off, and then Daniel Craig was kind of this, dude who's really in shape. I think this guy's a nice mix in between that.
To go back to what we're saying, I think if you're pulling him out of the military for something and like seconding him and to do a job and then ends up staying with it, could be a really interesting story. Like he ends up in the middle of something and then they have him follow through, or he's recruited, or
we never really know where this guy came from. I mean, in the movies, at least.
In the movie, and again, in the books, he was a naval command. He had the rank of naval commander, and he previously served in the Navy. But again, I think that could be interesting.
I like the guy.
Even in the books, he was kind of launched as a fully formed, experienced agent. So
yeah.
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 This is there's potential there. I hope it's
Yeah,
hope
I
it's an
think
actual
he's.
thing.
I think he could be good. And he's been married to and is the brother of Elizabeth Olsen, so he's getting all
That's
sides
right.
of her,
Yes,
which is a good
yeah.
thing.
He's been. Yeah, I try not to think about that when I go back and watch.
She should be a Bond girl. I would like that.
That'd be funny.
Yeah. What other random you guys got?
So, among the pantheon of sci-fi things that Apple is adapting, is Neuromancer. William Gibson's. This came out a couple weeks ago, but we haven't recorded since then. William Gibson's kind of seminal cyberpunk novel, which is going to be an interesting adaptation. He wrote The Peripheral. Which
okay.
And this is from 1984. It's inspired a bunch of things. And Johnny Mnemonic was one of them. I mean, there's all these kind of things. Cyberpunk is hard to do. It really is, because technology outpaces things, and there's very few cyberpunk things that hold up well. So they'll have to change the story significantly. One of the things that he failed to predict in this story was cell phones, which
Everyone missed that except for Star Trek.
Everybody did. But the story is still really, really interesting, and I think it's going to be a 10-episode series. I'm really excited for that. I think probably in the whole genre, if you stay away from like Japanese stuff, Blade Runner probably holds up better than any other cyberpunk thing done. And so, but this has the potential, set in a similar world, to be very, very cool. So
Even though they had payphones, basically.
Even though they had payphones, yes. Yeah, it's something I'm really excited for.
Well,
so,
Three Body
and
Problem
just,
starts this week too on
this
Apple.
week, I know. I was like,
which I'm very interested to see how they turn that into a show.
So let me ask you this: Are you gonna pay any attention to the other one? Because there's two versions right now.
There are?
I didn't know that.
There's a previously made, just released. There are two simultaneous adaptations of the Three Body Problem airing right now.
I'm going to focus on the one from the company with the super deep pockets.
Exactly. The other
Who's
one
the other? Who
apparently
made
is
the other
more-
one?
It's you got to look it up. It might be on. It's one of the. It might be Peacock or something like this.
Screw Peacock.
It's on, but it's
Really?
it's more. That one supposedly is more faithful to the novel.
Good. The novel was
having read the novel,
impossible to get through.
not true at all. But it's pretty hard. Okay, and I'll say I think a well done adaptation of a novel would be much more approachable.
How could two?
So the one on Peacock is the Chinese adaptation.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So and it's principally a Chinese cast,
And I bet you I have to read when I watch that one. So that's out.
Oh God. Anyways, I'm very curious about that. But this I'm looking forward to, and we'll see. But Apple just, as I said before, just owns sci-fi right now, and I'm okay with that. So
Wait. The one on. When was this thing? It already premiered. The one
Yeah, it
on
did.
Peacock.
Yeah. I'm sure it was produced probably a couple of years ago.
not that long. No, they were actually. I think it's less than a year old. So
Okay.
which is kind of a.
Premiered in China last year.
I'm going to focus on the one that Apple made for the U.S. market.
Here you go, Barry. I've got your solution. Will be available in the original Chinese with English subtitles.
There you go.
There.
To me, it
30
doesn't exist.
episodes. 30 episodes.
Does not exist to me. Although
Okay.
30 episodes is probably a true adaptation of that freaking
Probably is
book.
a true and faithful adaptation.
I don't have Peacock anyway, and I'm not
Me
paying
either.
for
It's
it.
the one streaming service I don't have.
Screw them. They got nothing.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I'll watch that show. I got through a third of the book.
So Dave will get through a third of the episode.
I read all.
I'm
three
hoping
volumes.
the series is better.
I read all 3 volumes, and I will say the first was by far the best, and I may have understood less with each one I read, but it's still brilliant. So it's
an interesting choice. I think there's things they should have done before they would have done that, but
a very, very different take on the whole genre. first contact-ish kind of thing, and it's a very different take, and but I think it could be interesting. So we'll see.
Any other random?
Yeah, real quick, I just wanted to mention, because this happened after the last time we recorded, and I haven't really talked to you guys about it, but I had an opportunity about a week and a half ago to hang out with Roger Christian for a couple hours. Dude was amazing. The stories that he was sharing, and just, I mean, for anybody that doesn't know, he was the set decorator on the original Star Wars, but what he really did was design all the lightsabers, all the blasters, the Millennium Falcon interiors, like... The guy did everything.
He was the production designer, right?
Well, they called him set decorator.
Yeah, those guys worked
But
together,
he was essentially the production designer and prop designer. Like, he was even saying, he says nowadays, like, what he did would be 7 different departments. But back then it was just him.
Yep.
So he was literally telling us, like, he set up a day where he brought George in and showed him what he was working on and to make sure he was on the right track. And he's the guy that found the Graflex flash handle and made it into a lightsaber. And he's the guy that took the machine guns and put, freaking windshield wiper strips on them and said, this is what the blasters are going to look like. That was all him. So I was so impressed talking to him. He was great. He's another one who mentions people by first name that you go, oh, you mean Ridley Scott when you say Ridley, or you mean, Chris.
Who else would you mean?
Yeah, when you say Chris, you mean Nolan. Like, it's just wild talking to him.
That's awesome, Barry.
But yeah, he was super cool. So I can post some pictures on Instagram too.
That's awesome.
Meeting him, but yeah, it was really cool. So I just figured.
Did you get him to sign anything?
I did. I got him to sign the Stormtrooper blaster that my life-size Stormtrooper holds in his hand.
Okay, that's
I got him
cool.
to sign that, and then I got him. He was also the second unit director on Return of the Jedi.
Oh,
so I got him to sign my Return of the Jedi poster.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool. Blasters or a lightsaber would be cool.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring one of my Master Replicas lightsabers for him to sign, but I brought the Stormtrooper blaster. Yeah. So he was great. So
that's great.
Just thought I'd throw that out there. And thanks to
our
good friend Regal Robot and my buddy Tom Spina for inviting me to take part in that. So that was awesome.
So one last quick thing, and I saw this today going through Geek Tyrant. There's a trailer for a movie called Snow White and the Seven Samurai.
Oh, really?
Is this everything that goes into public domain now? They can just mash up whatever they want?
Bit as horrible as you can imagine, but it's worth watching just for the title. But it's Snow White and the Seven Samurai. It's 7 women samurai, 7 elite women samurai.
Nice.
And I feel that like a year from now, we're probably going to be watching this film all together. I'm just saying.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You know who else is not crazy but awesome? Fanboy Collectibles. Interesting choice, and it is up for pre-order. Exo 6 Rolaren.
Yeah, I saw that announced today. I was like, wow, that one came out of left field.
I got the Exo 6 email, and then I saw that Troy's got them up for pre-order. But that's an interesting choice. A beloved character.
But it's something that we always say about those guys. I love that they don't just do, it's not all Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. They go deep.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm getting this.
I knew you would.
I'm totally getting this. This is so like evocative of that series. It's just it would be cooler to have this character than like a whole bunch of other like
Barkley, exactly.
No, but I'm saying it just. But she's also like the perfect example of that show when they actually
she made an impact with very few episodes,
very few things, but also like when they were bucking the trend of being made for serialization, where it was just like there were recurring characters, and that was that she was the perfect example of that, and no, I totally need this.
Also, Hot Toy Ahsoka figures. There's more. There's the dude and the blonde girl, whatever their names are.
There's an awesome Invincible statue.
Statue. So
and there's a Yaddle.
Yaddle. I saw the Yaddle. There's how many Yaddle things are there? Not many.
Not many Yaddles.
So if you're a Yaddle collector, they got a Yaddle thing. There's also giant red and green Hulk statues, 2 separate ones, but they got everything. Pops and Sideshow and Hot Toys and Kotobuki and Hasbro and all the statues and 1/6 figures and all that good stuff. So check those guys out, fanboycollectibles.com. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut, and tell them the Regular Joe sent you. All right, what are we? Masters of Air wrapped up. If you haven't seen it, spoilers probably, but
the Allies
guess
won
what?
the war.
We won the war.
Sorry. Yep.
Yeah,
So.
it's kind of like Titanic. You know how it ends, but it's how they get to the end that makes it so good. And this show, I mean...
You didn't know Jack was going to die.
Well, I guess that's true. But Jack wasn't
Spoilers
a real
on that.
character. These people were real characters.
I was just trying to think of who in Masters of the Air was named Jack. I was like, wait a minute, Jack died?
Titanic.
I got you. I was a little slow.
I definitely liked from the beginning. I thought it got better as it was started out good, and I think it just kept getting better.
So
I mean,
can I ask you a question?
yeah.
You felt like you didn't know people. Did you feel eventually that you got into that you got...
I only felt that in the first couple episodes. They definitely sort of weeded out, and you knew who.
This was a lot of dudes that looked the same.
Yeah,
in a hat
that
and mask.
was definitely not a problem after maybe the second episode. And it's interesting that Rosie character, who became a main character, was he even in the first episodes?
No, he was a replacement.
He was a replacement. That's what I
yeah.
thought. Yeah.
He was
and
the
then
first
he
wave of
became this.
replacements. And
It's
this
interesting how I feel like, and I know it didn't happen this way, it felt, and I think this is a good thing, that it organically started to center on certain people, like Crosby or whatever it is.
Yep.
And Rosie, where, it kind of started out one way, and then they're like, oh, let's focus on these guys. Because A, they survived, and B, they fell into very important roles, almost like they did in real life.
I think
well,
there was
they did in real life.
a concerted effort to do a narrative perspective switch, so you got to see different angles on the same thing going on. The episode where we saw a lot of the mechanic guy, where you saw a lot of you saw things a lot through his perspective, shifting to how hard it was for somebody like Crosby to stay behind and send these people and then deal with the thing. I thought that you could sit down and make a chart and show the different perspectives that we saw in this. Very, very different than either Band of Brothers, The Pacific, where it was, you were kind of there in the moment. This, you got to see this war from this, very, very tightly drawn group of people who had very disparate jobs. And I think it's like I said, I love the thing. I knew I was going to like it. I like the characters, and I think they did a great job drawing the characters. They weren't always, the people you'd want to be, but it was also, to put yourself in that situation. Just imagine where the decisions they had to make, and it's amazing. And again, we use the phrase "the greatest generation." These people freaking saved the world. And, and
for
it's,
sure.
And these, and this the difference to me with like Band of Brothers. One of the big things is that, those are regular guys off the street. Okay, those are guys that were enlisted and put in uniform for the most part, other than the officers. All of these were officers. All these people were intensely trained. They came in with specialties. They were intensely schooled in mathematics and all these other things.
Yeah, it was interesting at the end how
how many of them became professors and
went to Harvard
this
and
was
all
a
this
very
stuff.
different skill. Each of these men were recruited for a very different skill set. You didn't become a navigator because it's like you had to have those math skills and
the head Crosby, right? Is that
Crosby.
Yep. I mean, like, the guy was a genius, obviously, but you didn't really get that. But imagine calculating that stuff in the 40s with a pencil and a map.
And that's the other thing. Is like, so you take this guy who's absolutely brilliant and with mathematics and do all these calculations and do this kind of stuff with a slide rule, and then you put him in a plane, and that's why he's throwing up. It's amazing. Like I said, I think they told it really well.
But what I also thought was amazing was how many of them ultimately had to bail out, and the fact that they said, I don't remember if they said it in the last episode or in the documentary, they had almost no training for they weren't paratroopers. They had done like no jumps from planes. They just knew what they were supposed to do. Like, unbelievable. And I mean, B-17 is by far my all-time favorite plane. I love that plane. I've seen them in person. I've been in them. They did such a great job of showing what it was like to be in the air in those planes. They were missions where there were hundreds of them in the air, and the way that they actually were able to show that. I mean, I know visual effects have come a long way. That was the most realistic flying sequences I've ever seen in anything, by far. Ever.
Yeah, by far, and the way they filmed it, that when you saw the planes, more often than not, you saw someone's perspective of the planes. You saw what it was like to look out a port or starboard window and see those planes going.
And how confining it was inside those planes.
Yeah. Or the view from the ground as they passed over you, but you'd see the person who they were passing over. So it was just, it was experiential in that way. They filmed this. They made 3 of these planes, and they filmed them in a volume, and they did this 50 feet off the ground on a gimbal. No. So they could, they were surrounded by sky and surrounded by other planes and all this kind of stuff in the volume, and no one's ever made anything like this before. And you can nitpick some story things, and I know some people have, but it tells a part of history that we really haven't had this kind of long form exposure to.
Well, and I like that
is a very kind of surfacey thing compared to this.
Yeah. And I like that they showed in the first few episodes was really a lot from the pilot's perspective and the airman's perspective, but that they followed a bunch of them through the whole POW camp process.
Which I didn't think they'd have that as much of that, but it obviously was such a huge part of being, a pilot or an airman. So many of them had to go bail out and went down, and it was crazy.
Especially those guys. I mean, they made it very clear. They were well aware halfway through their missions that they were literally bait. They were just setting them up as fodder, just to
and they told them that. But it was also they knew part of the strategy for D-Day was they had to decimate the Luftwaffe, and they had to destroy planes faster than they could build planes. And that's what
But they didn't really start to get to that point until they had the Mustangs and the Red Tails came in, because they just didn't have enough air support.
Yeah,
on the missions they were running.
And they had also by that point they'd crippled Germany's ability to rebuild planes. So then they got to the point where it was like, if there's no assembly lines left, we take out everything that's in the air, and then we can launch D-Day. And it was amazing how this was all calculated in that way. I'll see that the POW thing, or the being shot down thing. There was a lot of planning that went into to how that worked, and there was a lot of and they don't go into this here, but there was actually an effort to support the people who found you and repatriated you, and as we saw in one of the stories in Belgium. Okay. Yeah. And it's like, and my uncle was one of those people. He was shot down over Germany, brought to France by people that found him, put into a barn with other soldiers, and then smuggled out. And,
that was like the whole underground.
And this was a thing. But this was like, again, this was a network that was built and supported, among the resistance for, exactly this. And all these things were logistics. All these things were things that had to be planned for and allowed for, because you knew every time you sent one of those, groups of a dozen planes up in the air, a certain percentage of people were not going to come back, and a certain percentage of people were going to. One of the things I found interesting was that the camps were run by the Luftwaffe, the camps for the airmen, because
they were, in theory,
scrupulously following the Geneva Convention, with the idea that we would do the same thing with the German prisoners that we had.
Yeah.
Well, what we saw in, I hate to say Hogan's Heroes, but it's true.
Yeah. Well, but they also were in Stalag 13 in this show, which was the same camp that they used in Hogan's Heroes.
They made a point of using Roman numerals in this. Yeah. And even though they didn't actually use Roman numerals, They did, and I think that was so there would be no snicker.
But those were really where they were. I mean, and then Stalag 17 was the same thing, right? That was run by the Luftwaffe too. So they did an amazing. I haven't watched the documentary yet. I'm looking forward to watching that. I haven't yet either.
So. It's great, but you know, try to get through that without rolling a tear.
Yeah.
I'm actually
even the stuff after the when they did the.
Oh my God, that choked me up when they did the what happened to everybody.
Yeah, and I was hoping they would do that because I distinctly remember that from Band of Brothers, and Band of Brothers was a different story. Like that. Some of those guys had the Ron Livingston character really had a hard time.
Yep.
Afterwards and stuff, I was surprised that Austin Butler stayed in the Air Force through Vietnam.
Yeah.
You definitely should watch the documentary. It's called The Bloody 100th, I think.
Yes, yeah.
It's great.
And these were
so well
but again,
done.
Unlike the people in Band of Brothers, a lot of these people were career military people to begin with. Okay, these weren't people that that some people went out and enlisted right after Pearl Harbor, but a number of these people were people who were already in the military and were trained for equipment that just was just being rolled out. Case in point, like the P-51s, that was a plane that didn't exist when that war started.
Yeah.
And had a significant impact on the war at the end of it.
That's amazing. Like, you saw the introduction of that in like 44 or something like that, and they're rolling those things off the assembly line, and that's just crazy.
An American plane with a Rolls-Royce engine that was too powerful for any of the planes they tried it in. It was basically that plane was designed around a Rolls-Royce Merlin engine that, like I said, couldn't be used because it was too powerful. Just amazing, absolutely amazing. Yeah. So, but that's again, it's what happens in wartime.
And I really loved in the final episode when they were being liberated that they heard the sound of the P-40 before they saw it. And it's so true because, I mean, I've gone to enough air shows and I used to live near an airport where they did the air shows, and I'd be out mowing my lawn and you'd hear a sound and you'd look up and it's a B-17 or a B-24 and nothing sounds like that. And these guys were so attuned to the sound that they knew it was the P-40 before they even could see it.
Yeah. No, it's great. I know some people have complained about the short shrift that was given to the Tuskegee Airmen. I think it was contextual. I think it was their presence was explained, and I think they did a good job with it. There's other movies and other stories to be told there.
I mean, I think
without
they came
question.
in when
I thought it well, and they talk about it in the documentary a little bit. So you haven't seen it yet, so I won't go into it. But the fact that in the POW camps there were the Tuskegees were treated the same as all the other pilots that were POWs, and that's not true in all other POW instances. So I thought that they handled it well, but this wasn't a story about the Tuskegee Airmen. They're certainly an aspect of the story, but it wasn't specifically about them. It was
about the 100th, yeah.
So. Yeah.
That's fine,
it was great.
No,
I mean, I don't think we could say enough good things about it. It was really good. Yeah. If you're into this stuff at all, you need to watch it if you haven't.
When you take a real story, real events, and obviously some dramatization, but you stick to the basic facts, and you can still make it this compelling and this interesting, and just this, it's just absolutely true. I actually just downloaded Harry Crosby's book On a Wing and a Prayer, which I'm going to read.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
And it's like I said, just amazing people in an unimaginable set of circumstances, and what they did is phenomenal. I'm really glad they made this, and I think it kind of completes the cycle of the Band of Brothers, the Pacific, and this. It kind of brings that home.
I wish the Pacific was better. I don't know.
Yeah, I do too. I kind of wonder now whether we're going to see something naval centric at some point.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And to cover that, which I think could be really good as well. But this, I got to hand it to the two of them. From Saving Private Ryan on, that partnership of Hanks and Spielberg has just put a spotlight on this this moment, this time in history, which was fading into memory, and they made it, and people were saying that prior to Saving Private Ryan that World War II themed films weren't viable anymore, and they've gone so far beyond that. They've taken the narrative to another level, and I think that's great. And
Hanks narrates the documentary too, which is good.
Yeah. So
definitely see it. A must watch.
It's a reason to get Apple Plus all by itself, even if you don't love all the sci-fi stuff they're doing.
I was talking to somebody about it today at lunch, and I was saying that episode 3, as I mentioned before, is like watching the first 20 minutes of Saving Private Ryan. You're on the D-Day invasion there. You're tense through the entire thing, but it conveys that in a way nothing I have ever seen about that about flying bombers during the war ever did before. The fact that it was just like you spent that hour in that mission, and it was just like I said, incredibly nerve-wracking. So well done.
Okay, from a down tempo to no, we're also watching The Gentleman, which is a little bit different, but on Netflix, right?
It is on Netflix.
It's not on Netflix.
Thank you, Barry, for suggesting we watch this. Even though Todd clearly sent us
even though I sent
several
10 days earlier, and Barry said, "Oh, I just stumbled upon it." So
Todd was like, "This series is coming. You should watch it." And here's the movie. And Barry's like, "Oh, I just stumbled across this."
Well, he mentioned
there's a lot of texts that go in this chain.
To be fair, there's a lot of texts that go between us, between the 3 of us and the 5 of us, depending on which text thread it is.
Time just to try to scroll back to something that was said within a few days ago, but it's 7,000 texts back.
Yeah. So when you mentioned the movie, I'm like, "What movie? Dune 2? What are you talking about?" And you're like, 10 days ago I told you there was a movie and the series, and you completely forgot.
So, have either of you seen the movie yet?
I haven't, and honestly, I don't think I'm going to watch it until at least I'm through this, because you're saying it's sort of a different context.
I don't want it to confuse my experience with the show.
It's not going to. I would say it's kind of in the same universe, and it's kind of approaching the same thing.
But it's not the same characters?
It's not that there's no... I mean, I went through IMDb. There are no crossover between characters.
Oh.
Huh. Interesting.
And so it's just... Yeah.
So
it's Guy Ritchie.
You get to know who started the operation that is running here. Okay. So, and that's what it is. But it is really from a criminal entrepreneur's perspective instead of the guy in the other end's perspective. And so I think it was very clever to pivot this way and do this. Tonally, it is exactly the same as the movie. You know, the little thing where all of a sudden the little calculations show up on screen, and and how it's filmed and the pacing of it, very, very similar to the movie.
It's a dark comedy.
Yeah, it's Guy Ritchie.
It's Guy Ritchie. It's very British, but I mean, when I saw the first episode, that's why I texted you guys. I'm like, you guys got to watch this. It's violent, it's funny, and it's just.
I like the guy. Where have we seen that guy before? The guy who's the
Eddie, the main guy, Eddie.
Yeah,
he's been in a bunch of stuff. I saw him in that HBO series. Oh God, what was the name of it? Well, I'll look it up. The one about the hotel.
Oh,
White Lotus.
White Lotus.
Yes, White Lotus. Yes, he's a bad guy in White Lotus. I'll say the difference, probably a big difference between the movie and this. I think the movie is a little more over the top than this.
Yeah.
Wow, that's saying
I
something.
thought they were playing. I thought they were the same characters. That's why I didn't want to get confused.
No, not at all. It's like I said, it's in the universe.
Dave, you probably know him from the Time Traveler's Wife series.
Haven't seen that.
No, you would not. So, anyways, he's been in a number of things.
He's been in Divergent movies.
Yep.
That's where I know him from, and not that I've seen one of those movies.
Yeah.
He's sort of the guy who the main girl he's number 4 or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I'm enjoying it. I'm 3 episodes in, I think, maybe 4
Yeah,
episodes
I'm only
in.
one,
I'm enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it.
I'm
there's
Giancarlo Esposito has some cameos.
Yeah.
Of course he does, because
He's in everything.
I saw him, and he was the first reason that I went back to IMDb. I says, was he in the movie somewhere? And it was like, no, he was not in the movie somewhere, but he should have been. Because it's just like if it's sketchy, okay, they're going to find a place for him in there.
He plays an interesting role in this, though, because it's not...
Oh, he does, but I'm saying...
It's not Gus Fring.
He's always the guy who's one level above everybody else. Whether in that Kaleidoscope last year or in
honestly, even Moff Gideon is kind of that character.
That's what I'm saying. He's always just like that, that other tier higher, and he does that well. Oh, and The Boys. And 7,000 other things that he's in. So
yeah, no, but I like the character. The brother's funny. He's great.
So when you look at the brother, who do you think of?
Oscar Isaac.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, right.
He should play Oscar Isaac's demented brother. Okay.
Yeah, I could see that. I was thinking, who's the guy Between Two Ferns guy? Who's that guy?
Oh, Zach Galifianakis?
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
know.
No, I'm telling you, if you look at him, he's just like I said. He's got like the demented Oscar Isaac thing going.
He's demented Poe Dameron. Yeah.
Yes, he totally is demented Poe Dameron, or Stephen Grant. So
I like the girl who runs the
Susie.
Susie.
Yeah, Susie
Yes.
Glass.
Susie Glass.
Yeah.
She drives my exact car. She even has the blacked out Defender logo, which is a
she
specialty.
saw yours and she wanted the same.
Yes,
and
exactly.
it's she's great. The like I said, some of the stuff in here, I don't want to spoil it, but it's so Guy Ritchie, and it's so it's perfect.
I won't say anything more than once I saw the chicken suit, I was hooked.
Oh my God, yes. And let me ask
I don't
you
know
something.
that I've watched Guy Ritchie stuff. What else has he done? I mean, I know. I just
Lock,
can't
Stock,
think of him.
Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
And that's which is a
What the
different
hell
angle.
did he marry Madonna for? What a mistake that was.
Maybe not so much at the time. Oh yeah,
he made Snatch. He made Sherlock Holmes.
Yep.
Oh, he made those Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movies? Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's got an edge. He's like the British Quentin Tarantino. I hate to say that, but it's
There's a little of that to him.
It's that because you can see his stuff and you can see there's this kind of it's that same kind of edge, but yeah.
Definitely worth checking out.
It's fun. Yeah. It's not
it
sci-fi,
is
but
fun, and it's going to be an interesting ride. Let me ask you this: the thing that happened in the chicken suit, that ultimately happened, did you see that coming?
I did not see that coming.
Oh my God! I totally knew. As soon as he went
I
into
thought
the
it was going
bathroom,
to be the opposite.
Once he went to the bathroom, I knew.
They dwelled on the shotgun so much in the previous scene that I'm like, he's going to come back with this shotgun.
Yeah, I saw it coming, but I still enjoyed it thoroughly.
Oh yeah. No. Oh, absolutely. It's. Yeah.
And you got the other guy that's counting the money that is oblivious to the fact that it's happening.
Yeah.
Jethro.
It's very good. It's very good.
Yeah, it is.
And like I said, I'm 3 episodes in now so far, and it's holding up at the same level.
Yeah, I'm 2 in, and I've enjoyed every second of it. So,
So check that out. Let us know what you think about it. Okay. Let's go what's in the box.
Show you with the box. Who's in the box? Oh, what's in the box? What's in the box?
Regular Joe's What's in the Box.
Todd, what's in the
okay.
box?
I'm not going to hold this up. I went to Dave's a couple weeks ago, and he spent some of my money again because that's what he does. That's what both of you do.
That's what we all do.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got a 3D printer, and I haven't had my own before. I've used the ones at work quite a bit, but not so much lately. And because I just haven't had time, and as I was telling you guys, that invariably when I get to where those are, I end up fixing things instead of playing with the printers. So I got an Elegoo Neptune 4 Pro, which is Dave's recommendation. And this thing is just awesome. It's super simple to get started with. It's cheap. It was $300 on Amazon. I managed to screw something up and get parts for it immediately. It's just terrific. And if you just want to put your toe in this, there's more sophisticated stuff out there. There's more, we know somebody that can probably recommend, 50 things better in a number of different ways. But if
it's
you
solid.
Just want to get started,
I actually have the one, the 3 Pro, which is $200 now.
Yeah.
I got it right before the 4 came out. I don't know what the difference is, but they're making like the build quality. If you saw that printer in a store 5 years ago, you'd say it's $1,000 printer.
Dave, I'm putting this thing together, and I'm like, how do you even make this thing for what I paid for this?
I have no idea, right?
There's a bazillion screws in this thing, and watch
It's
the video
solid,
carefully,
aluminum.
people. By the way, particularly about leveling the bed. I'm just saying. Okay, so
Follow the instructions, everybody.
Follow the instructions carefully. Don't take it out of the box
Watch
at
some
11 o'clock at
videos.
night and watch the videos all
Do
the way
yourself a favor.
through before you hit the print button. But
Yeah, how do
super cool
How do they
machine.
make the 3? What are they making it for $100? I mean, and
No,
they're selling it
that's
for
what I'm saying.
$200.
It's just like it's slave labor. It's got to be. I've done a
probably
lot of
printers
3D
making
design
printers.
stuff, and that I've never followed through and printed the things out because it's accessibility of printers, and I've been having a blast with it. And as it said, you can go into Tinkercad and get started in 5 minutes, and just tons of cool projects. So I'm going to finish. I showed you guys. I've made some things that don't exist, and I'm picking up some projects of mine that stalled. So really excited about it.
Yeah,
That's
a lot of
great.
cool stuff. There's so much
So
stuff.
once
out
again,
there.
thank you, Dave. So
Oh, happy to spend your money. Cool. Barry, what's in the box?
I have a Robin Hood Prince of Thieves Friar Tuck figure that I'm going to rip off the card.
Okay, I don't know where this is going.
This figure, it's interesting. I'm going to rip his robe off, too.
what's under this? What's under this?
Oh, come on. I don't want to have to...
You
get
got to undo the
scissors out.
undo the belt tie.
I don't want to undo the belt tie. I'm just trying to rip his robes off. Okay, here we go. He's essentially a Gamorrean guard body.
Oh my God! Look at that.
That's pretty
Oh,
funny.
that's hilarious.
So I've known about this, and I wanted to get him to stand next to my Gamorrean guard figures in my display case because I have nothing else to buy right now. So,
Okay.
But yeah,
Oh,
he's
that
Isn't
is
that one of those
hilarious.
reaction figures? Or is
no.
it
This is a real Prince of Thieves Robin Hood figure from 1991 that I just ripped off the card.
Okay.
But when Kenner made these, they basically retooled the Gamorrean Guard. It's not exactly exact,
That's so
but
funny.
it is the Gamorrean Guard for all intents and purposes that they put a new head on. I mean, I will
is
text you
hilarious.
guys side-by-side pictures that are I watched a YouTube video review where they did side-by-side, and there are some changes in the mold. Like, they added a knife on his belt that wasn't there on the Gamorrean Guard, and
Okay.
some of the pattern in the furry thing down there isn't exactly the same. The shoulder
His
pieces
loincloth?
are
His furry
slightly
loincloth?
retooled, but this is just insane that this is what they use for Friar
No,
Tuck.
that's what they do. I mean, it's
So-
it's
Oh, that's so funny.
They also,
And
if you look at the
would
pictures on the back of the card, they reuse the Ewok Village as
course they
Robin
do,
Hood's
yep.
treehouse and the Ewok Battle Wagon, because you remember that
Oh,
from
that's
Robin Hood,
great.
right? Yeah. So
Oh, absolutely. I
Did
remember
you
that.
get that?
scene.
You just found that on eBay?
I got it for like $12 on eBay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I needed him because he's kind of a Gamorrean guard, so now I have
That's so
him.
funny.
And what's not in the box this week is my copy of the 4K version of The Abyss, because it's literally sold out everywhere and you can't get it. They didn't print enough
really?
copies of it, and you can't buy one. So I'm having to wait till they rerun them.
Did you order it like months ago?
Yeah, I ordered it months ago, and
That's what someone was saying on the Props podcast. They were talking about they were having the same
There was
problem.
another one that they were talking about, the Conan 4K.
Yeah, that.
But
it,
yeah,
like,
the
took
Abyss
forever to
4K,
come.
which everybody says is spectacular, can't get it. Sold out everywhere. So
Interesting.
maybe that'll be in a future What's in the Box episode. But
Yeah, that's usually get them like the day
yeah,
of their release, if not the day before in some
yep.
instances.
But today we're going with Friar Tuck.
there you
So,
go.
Dave,
Perfect.
what's in the box?
A couple weeks or maybe months ago at this point, I had bought a Robinson Crusoe on Mars half-sheet poster. And I like it because it's a good size. It's like 28 by 22. And I've been looking on different sites, mostly eBay, like, what other cool half-sheet posters? Because I didn't even know they existed. And I found this this Logan's Run.
Oh, look at that.
This is like unused from 1976. The cool thing about these are they're printed on like cardboard. Who's texting?
That's me. I'm texting you
you.
pictures of Friar Tuck in the Glory Guard.
I don't know if I'm going to put this up, but it was such a good deal, and it's pretty much unused. It's in great shape. I thought I'd get it. I do like the form factor of these half-sheet posters.
That is cool.
Yeah. It's a good size, and especially if you mat it, it looks really cool. So, I have to see that. Yeah, I may put it. Mark, for my birthday, got me a James Bond poster for downstairs. We were talking about needing a James Bond poster down there, and then
Which movie did he get you?
he got me Thunderball because the poster's pretty great.
It is pretty awesome. Yeah.
It's pretty awesome, yeah. So he got me that. And I don't know if we talked... I have my Forbidden Planet shirt that has to go up there. Maybe we'll talk about that in another episode.
I'm just looking at this guy. He kind of looks like John Rhys Davies.
He very much does. In fact, I was just saying, I was wondering if that's a Sala head modified.
Yeah, he's got those weird cheeks.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of look like him, though.
You have that. You have the Sala head, right?
I do, which is much smaller than this.
Oh.
The head is smaller. This is a pretty large head for that body, if you actually look at what I'm holding up to the camera. It's pretty big.
Yeah,
but
it is.
We'll post pictures. Yeah, it's
Don't
great.
Gamorreans have big feet?
Well, these are kind of not that big, but they're in sandals. But when you look at the pictures I just texted you, the Gamorrean had sandals. The action figure had sandals, too.
I gotta look at that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the same thing. It's exactly
basically
the
same thing. It's not exactly
the legs.
Same. But
so
yeah,
funny.
It's ridiculous how they reused that or retooled it. Because it's different enough that they obviously changed the tooling, but it's not...
Barry, that is Sala's head scaled up to fit that neck.
It might be.
I'm telling you.
You're right, it might be.
They scaled it up because that neck is so huge.
Yeah, it's a wonder of action figure goodness. And I don't think we've ever ripped open a...
That is totally Sala's head.
Yeah. I don't think we've ever ripped open a vintage action figure on the show. So
no, I think that might be
crushed DVDs.
1991, so it's over 24 years old, 23 years old.
Cool. Awesome.
All right.
Any last thoughts? I don't always ask.
I don't think anybody's died recently that we would necessarily talk about. But no. I just hope you're feeling better, Dave.
Yeah. Me too. I'm going to the doctor tomorrow. But anyway, next... Oh, I'm going to see Ghostbusters this weekend. Is anyone else seeing it?
Probably not.
I know we haven't seen
Dune.
I
want to.
Either.
I haven't even seen Dune 2 yet.
Wait a minute. Neither of you have seen Dune 2?
No.
Brian did. Brian
did, and Daryl did. Okay, so we're going to have a show where the three of us are going to tell you two about it. Because it's been out for a while now. I would definitely recommend seeing it. Let's just say that. So,
I will go see
Ghostbusters this weekend.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
I'd like to. I just can't. We're talking about Friday night. We might go to
see Styx in Connecticut.
No, in our town or very close to our town, 10 minutes from here. They're doing a screening of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and what's his name is going to be there?
Phoebe Cates.
No, what's his name is going to be there? Brad, the guy that played Brad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, why can't I remember his name?
No, Judd.
I want to say Judd Nelson, but no, it's Judge Reinhold. Judge Reinhold's going to be there hosting and doing a Q&A. And Maria and I were both like, that could be fun. We could, and they're doing a bunch of these. Alan Ruck's going to be there with Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, really?
Where's that at?
Yeah, and I actually got an email from them where it was like if you did like buy one get one 50% off tickets for multiples of these. So there's a bunch of these types of screenings they're doing. So
is there anyone good that we remember we were going to stalk Paul Reiser?
I know. I wish it was Paul Reiser. I can, if you really care, I can look it up real quick and tell you who else is there.
That's interesting. Yeah, there's the Jacob Burns Film Center that Ron Howard's on the board of directors that I never look to see what they do. I should really be looking that up because they probably do stuff like that. That's pretty cool. That's something.
Yeah.
to do.
So yeah, Judge Reinhold is there this Friday night with Fast Times. Where's their events list? Here we go. What else we got coming up? Alan Ruck
this
with
recent
Ferris
season
Bueller.
of Fargo, Jennifer Jason Leigh was in it, and she does really, really good, but she plays a grandmother, and
Oh God!
and I'm just not ready for that.
No, there's no way I could
just
watch that.
not ready for that.
On April 20th, they're doing the movie Clue with Leslie Ann Warren. She's going to be there. Don't care about that one quite as much. I think there's a few others. But yeah, Ferris Bueller could be interesting, and Fast Times could be interesting. So
You should get Alan Ruck on your. Isn't he in Generations?
he is, and trust
Generations.
me, if I go to that, I'm bringing the poster with me. I already thought.
he's
I
a
even
good
said
dude.
that to Maria the other night. I'm like,
he's a good guy.
I need him on my Generations poster. So
That's so funny. Cool. Anyway, so maybe or maybe not we'll talk about Ghostbusters, and maybe or maybe not we'll talk about Dune. We'll see, or something completely different. And Three Body Problem, I guess, if we get to watch it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.